Hello. Today I'm going to be covering holistic decision making using integral theory. This could be useful for you in your personal life to achieve a health or body fat percentage you want or some health status you'd like. You can use this at work. You can use this in your personal relationships and your home life with your children. You can use this for finances. You could literally use this for anything. And I'm going to be telling you my story about how I use this model to actually achieve my health goals over the last couple years. So it wasn't just a dietary thing. So I'm going to get into that. So one of the problems we have as humans is we all have our personal cognitive biases. Because of that, we tend to see the world through one lens. Okay. So there's a gentleman named Ken Wilber. He's a philosopher. He spent his basically his life's work developing something called integral theory. Another term for this is the theory of everything. And what he tried to do was take all human knowledge and all human theories around process, religion, politics, and he tried to think of, could there be a meta framework that we could actually use to drive holistic decision making? And he created it, and it's called integral theory or the theory of everything. Sounds kind of far fetched potentially, but trust me, it works when you think about it. It's actually can be very simple, and I'm going to explain it the most simple way I can today. Or it can be really, really complex. It gets really deep the farther down the rabbit hole you go. So we're just going to scratch the surface today, and I'll put a few links in the description if you want to go down that rabbit hole. So the basics of integral theory are this: everything in the universe is a whole, and everything is a part. So, for example, you are a human being. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you're human. You are a whole person. You also have parts. For example, I have a head, which is a part of my being. And my head is also a whole because it has parts. For instance, eyes and skin and skeletal and muscle and everything else. If we break down into our muscle, we have cells. Those are cells or holes and parts. Okay. And you can imagine this goes all the way down to your DNA and however small we want to get. Okay. At the same time, while I'm a whole, I'm also part of something else. I'm part of a relationship. I'm part of a marriage. I'm part of a workplace environment. I'm part of a culture, a local government, a state government, United States government, a potential global economy, which and in the Earth, which is also part of a solar system, etc. You could see how this goes, and everything is a part in a whole. So this is the first thing to understand about the Ken Wilber integral theory. All right. So taking that, we have an X and Y axis here. And on this grid, on the left side is interior, on the right side is exterior. And what that means is things that we observe internally that other people cannot see. That's what this is talking about. And on the right side here, we have things that are observable to other folks around us, other people. One of the main problems we have in this country is, when I say this country, I'm talking about I live in the US, and it probably exists in other countries, but I can only speak for the US, is that we've become more and more polarized. And the polarization exactly reflects this integral model, and I'll explain how. Um, let's take a problem that we might be trying to solve. Okay. So the problem could be poverty in an inner city, for example. Okay. It's a real problem. It's a real issue. If you are a conservative, you will typically see the world through the lens of individual interior, meaning that the problem should be resolved with the individual. Okay, so there's this terms like picking yourself up by your bootstraps, taking personal responsibility, personal accountability for your actions, for your results. You are poor because you choose to be poor, or you haven't made the right decisions, or you're not self-motivated, etc. Right? So those types of decisions and the ways of thinking live in this quadrant. Okay. If you are more progressive or more liberal, you may think that that problem can be resolved by government intervention. So you may think, okay, we have to put some social systems in place. We have to put some kind of welfare, or we have to put some kind of um, a job assistance program, et cetera. So that would be a systemic um, solution to the poverty problem. Okay. And what would happen is you would have politicians that thinking through this one lens, okay, seeing the world basically this way, and they would be talking across each other and never getting anything accomplished because they're actually not taking the fact that they are both right and both wrong at the same time. And the reason why they're both right and they're both wrong is because everything is a part and everything is a whole. I was going back to that. Okay. So therefore, there is an element of all four related to a poverty issue. For example, yes, potentially a government solution could help a poverty problem, but at the same time, individual accountability, responsibility, motivation, those types of things could also help the poverty problem. At the same time, the culture of the neighborhood and the family and the relationships that that person's growing up with, if we can enhance those things, that would also likely help the poverty problem. And then we have empirical data we could be measuring along the way, um, and the skills that people are having, that maybe there is some kind of government program that could help that, or the culture, their families or community could help that, or that they can help themselves. You see how it all relates one to another. So the problem of poverty is not it's not a one quadrant solution. It is an all quadrant solution to achieve the best result. And that's the idea, that this is a decision making framework. So anytime we're trying to make a decision, we have to think, or anytime we're trying to make a positive change in life, we try to have to see the world or the lens through all four quadrants. Okay. So, going to give you my personal example of how I did this with my health transformation. So, I've been overweight most of my life. I lost roughly 100 pounds, and according to the scale, about 25% body fat, um, mostly over a year without exercising. And that's, I would say, that's pretty good results. And I've been able to keep it off. And now I'm kind of doing some body recomposition. So that's what's going on right now. Um, and I have tried to lose weight before. I exercised a lot. I went to the gym. I thought I was eating healthy. And I always would put the weight right back on and gain more weight over time. So I became very frustrated with this, and I decided to go this ketogenic low carb route by talking to a friend of mine. And when I talked to my friend, he gave me everything for the most part in this top right quadrant. Okay, he said, here are the foods you can start eating. He helped lay out a plan for me of what I could eat. He asked me what I liked. He told me what to measure. He said, start tracking your macros to make sure you're keeping your carbs low and you're eating enough protein and these types of things. And then so I had that. And he also said, hey, you should start weighing yourself potentially. You should start measuring your body fat potentially, those type of things. So all of those were here. And a lot of people just start there and they focus on that and they try to go from there. And they watch a YouTube video and they think that they just have to follow some macros and they're going to get the results. And the point is, this is, again, in integral theory, we call this reductionism. We are reducing the solution to one quadrant. So knowing integral theory, I tried to apply the other three quadrants. So what I did was I checked myself essentially, because I already had the motivation to lose the weight and to get healthy. And it just wasn't about weight loss because I had a lot of health problems. So it's about reversing my health problems. I was highly motivated and I just didn't know how to accomplish it. So my friend helped me with that one. So then the next step is I can have the motivation, I can know what to do, but if I don't have the support of my culture, whether that's my wife or my family, I may fail, particularly my wife. So if I'm trying to do this and she's not supportive or she's not helping with the food decisions or etc., then I would imagine it would have failed. So the next thing I had to do was sit down with my wife, explain what I'm trying to do, explain how this could potentially impact our relationship because I might be totally changing the foods I'm eating and not being able to eat the same meals with her, et cetera, right? So it can be a little weird. Maybe you have to make 2 meals. Maybe you have to adjust your meals and blah, blah, blah. So we got on the same page and I asked her to support me on this because it was important to me, and she did. And to her credit, she has supported me from day one, and I really appreciated it. And it was really integral, no pun intended, to my success, actually. And lastly was collective. So I had to resolve this. So part of this was the system. And when I say the system, I mean multiple things in this context. So we have food restaurants. So at the time I was eating out all the time. I travel a lot. I'm a consultant. So now I cook in my hotel room quite often, but before I wasn't cooking at all in my hotel room. So I wanted to know, where could I eat? So I looked at the system of restaurants, the system of food around me, and devised a plan of what I could eat potentially at any restaurant around me. If it was fast food, if it was a nice restaurant, and I looked at the menus and I sat with my friend and we kind of did a little bit of this. Top of that, I had to think about along the way this system of doctors, because doctors have their own knowledge and their own things are trained, and they are a bit contrary to what I'm doing and what a lot of us are doing who are watching this video potentially. So one thing I did was I actually found a doctor who would understand the basic mechanisms behind why this way of eating and lifestyle was working, and who can help encourage me and help measure things along the way, like potentially lipid profiles, insulin resistance markers, those types of things, right? And one other thing I did this was I analyzed things at the grocery stores around me, what types of foods they were carrying, what I should be eating at the grocery stores. Because again, I don't control necessarily what's at the grocery store. I don't control what restaurants are around me. I don't control what doctors are around me. But I have to use this lens to try to put together the piece of the puzzle to solve the problem of my unhealthiness. Once I got all four things in place, I was able to execute on this plan and I was able to get the results. So I just wanted to share this with you because you can use this for literally anything. For example, if you're at work, you can look at, if you're trying to solve a problem, you can take this view. What is the problem I'm having? What is the change I'm trying to make? And consider all four quadrants in the decision making. If you're on some kind of team, whether that's a sports team or a team at work, like a software development team that I work with a lot of those. The I could be your team, and then you can scale that up to more parts of the organization. This can go at any level for any problem you want. You just have to say, what is the I here? Is it me? Is the I my team? Is the I my relationship? And how am I scaling that out to all four quadrants? So I just wanted to share this model with you. I'm going to put some links if you want to geek out like me and really deep dive into the mechanics of this. And there's something called ALL-QUAL, which stands for all quadrants, all lines, all levels. And basically what that means is inside each quadrant here, there's different levels. And basically part of it is a personal growth in each quadrant. And also there's these lines, which are different categories inside. And that goes deep, but that's beyond the scope of this. But I just want to let you know that this does go much, much deeper if you're interested in this. So saying all that, I hope you got something out of that. If not, that's okay, but I just wanted to share it with you. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And you can always reach me on Twitter at G4S Troy. All right, thank you.